me meeting
This
notes, and
meeting is being recorded.
they go into the description for the page that we put on the website. But I've been using Fathom more and more, so I thought I would invite it to this one and see if it's in good shape.
Hey, look at the fine print. It says Fathom is a division of the NSA and
Yeah. Well, how is everyone doing?
good. I'm still dealing with the aftermath of getting used to my cartoon self.
Huh?
We made those cartoon panels for YouTube. I don't know if you saw those, but
The ones where you describe yourself and you have it make a cartoon of you?
no, I handed a picture of like Steve here, and it turned his head 30 degrees and it still looked like him and faced the other way. The AI is amazing, that nano banana thing.
It did a good job with my cat.
I know
I thought as well too, but I have to wonder, where the hell did the Rubik's Cube come from?
that was interesting too, but your cat looked so much better. Your cat should be proud.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
what a strange world.
That is funny.
And changing every day.
Well, I tell you what, let me make sure screen share is in good shape.
Oh my God, my browser must have crashed.
But where did April go? How the heck is we at this week already?
That would be the exact same thing that my wife said. As I said, "Oh yeah, I've got Southern Fried tonight," and she's like, "You just had that. What are you talking about?
Right.
You were just talking about how you and Jeremy were going to run a Southern Fried, and that David will join in the next few months, and we look forward to seeing him again." You were just saying those things,
It really was only a week ago, just so you know.
Oh,
right?
good. I thought I'd losing my mind.
Nah, we're flitting between the multiverse, like in a
Ooh.
Marvel movie. And so no one realizes yet that we're actually moving through time, not just the multiverse.
Right.
Well, there we go.
The science fiction is very expansive, trust me.
Plot devices are useful,
I know.
however you execute them.
Yeah, time travel in the 90s didn't make sense. At least now sometimes it does.
We're still, I know the meeting's recording. We'll cut this part later, and this is the hangout before we get started into the meeting. And that's one of my favorite parts about Southern Fried is also when we get done with the meeting, we cut off the recording and we all talk about life and shoot the breeze for a while. I really love that part. I'm watching a really good sci-fi mini series story about time travel in a unique way on Amazon Prime called Undone. Undone.
I don't know that one.
2 seasons, animated with rotoscope. Very trippy, very interesting, and it's all as best time travel stories are. It's all about human drama, so it's excellent.
Interesting.
Well, I am going to go over releases. I'm going to go over upgrades. I'm going to tee up and pass that right off to you, Jeremy, because you definitely have written the book on why and what's important and what not to do for upgrades. So I'm looking forward to you kind of, you don't have to present. It's not like the whole meeting, but it's very important. So I'm looking forward to you
I'll
spend some time talking
I'll
about that and doing that.
I'll spin something, but people need to interrupt me and correct me as I go because I've
No
got
worries.
spaghetti brain right now.
No worries. So we'll kind of start off talking about Southern DNN Summit and DNN Connect. We'll then talk about releases and upgrades. Then we'll talk about the show and tell meetup, and we'll kind of talk about those parts for a bit. I'll give a shout out to say what
Hey,
I've
add a tab there after the show
yeah
and tell meetup. Add the YouTube page too.
Deal.
And there's the cartoon heads.
How many of these have you done?
We only did one show and tell meetup, but we cut it up into pieces.
You told me those words, and I didn't think about what it would look like visually on screen. That is
Doesn't that look cool?
it
Look at how
is
cool Steve looks with his cat. That made me so happy.
cool.
I was so afraid he was going to tell me not to use it.
I've got 3 other cats, so I expect to see them in
You need
subsequent.
to change them out each
yes.
one. So yeah,
I would
we'll
need to be able to find a photo.
we'll definitely
You'll
hit
have to
that.
give me one.
I'll send you photos because I don't want anyone to be jealous.
I
Yeah, I don't
understand.
want to be that's jealous.
The cats are in charge. They let you live there.
A jealous
Um,
cat could be trouble.
So then we'll talk a little bit about something that I hope to show and maybe have someone on to talk about for next month.
Yeah,
And
that
then
DNN Defender worried me. Is that real?
it is real. And I'll kind of give a shout out on it in a little
Okay.
bit.
I
It,
accept that.
it is real. Do you remember and did you work with in the past CISS side menu?
Doesn't sound familiar, but maybe. I don't know.
Billy, how about you? Did you ever have CISS side menu in sites?
No.
We used it a ton. DNN, I don't know, 5, 6, 7. It was the main menu system and a major component to all of the themes that we built for clients was CISS side menu. So we have a lot of love and respect for how well that was put together. This is the same guy that put this together, and we'll have him on to kind of tell some information. But he took
Tonight or next month?
next month.
Okay.
He took a break from DNN and went into the security world for a while. And now that he's coming back out of that, he's like, what can I bring from security over into DNN? So there's it's kind of a tickler for what we'll be doing next month. But then for the main part of the session tonight, I'm going to be going through this AI chat because I've spent a good few hours playing with it, and I've got it installed in a sandbox, and we're going to give it a whirl today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, how I set it up, and what I can see that it can do, and then we'll come up with some more things to make it do. So
I want you to tell it to make 100 pages all about cats.
I think that would be an excellent example, and it would probably do it so fast we couldn't undo it fast enough. All right. Hey, Marco. Marco's here too. Well, I
Hey,
tell you
Marco.
what.
We're ready to start.
We can start now. Marco's here. All right.
Nice.
Does he know he's doing the presentation?
Right.
Well, he didn't send his slides earlier today, so I'm a little worried he's not prepared.
Yeah, definitely
He'll-
not prepared.
He'll do fine. He always does.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wow. We got just a minute or two more. So kind of with that as a review, anybody have anything else that's DNN community related you think I need to bring up on screen or make sure we stop off and talk about?
It's always hard to think of stuff on the spot.
It is, and I'm not always in the main, flow of things. So I catch bits and pieces. I miss things plenty of times, so it's good for me to also hear and catch up. All right. Well, I tell you what, 6:30 on the nose. We'll go ahead and get started with tonight's Southern Fried DNN user group meeting. Thank you, everyone who's joining us here in person. I love having a full house where we've got both smarter people than myself able to chime in and make comments and suggestions on the things we're talking about in the DNN community, but also love to have that peanut gallery heckling me when a demonstration isn't going right, because that's always the way it is. And it makes it more fun when there's people here to chuckle along with us. If you're watching at home after the fact, thank you for joining us as well. As we do every month, we have the Southern Fried DNN user group the third Thursday of every month at 6:30 Eastern. I'll take a moment to mention that a couple of the people I'm reaching out to come on and present to us, to do sessions and present their modules or the things they've been working on as projects. If if I reach out to you, if you're in our Europe community and you're interested in coming to SoFri, we will move this time period around as needed. Certainly in the past, we've had meetings at noon or 3 p.m. Eastern to help it not be the middle of the night for our folks across the pond in Europe working on DNN. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll move our times around to help you out where we can. But as we do every Southern Fried, we're going to start off by talking about community news and events. I'll start off with some of our bigger community picture. We do have DNN Connect that is coming up shortly in May. I saw a note recently, and here I'm kind of looking to the crowd to see if anyone knows more specifically, but I believe they've put out a request for speakers. They have hotel, they have travel, they have all their information present on the site. So at this point, it's open for everyone to register and go to this Europe event and location. It's a different kind of conference and a different kind of get-together than the ones we have here in the States. Marco, have you been to DNN Connect yet?
Yes,
Yes,
this will be the fourth one.
This will be the fourth one you've been to. What's your favorite thing about the DNN Connect, as compared to, one of our conferences where, where last we were in Disney World or we were over in Vegas to do a conference. It's a different feel over here in DNN Connect, right?
Yeah, it's different dynamics. Sessions the same, related to DNN and all interested. You wish you could be like, like clone yourself so you can be at two sessions at the same time because
Yeah.
usually that's the way it goes. But the best part of it is after the sessions, the activity usually, well, from my experience, they usually rent e-bikes and we go around to meet some new
Sightseeing.
places,
Mhm.
and then we go back to have dinner, and then we have some booze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like towards the end of the DNN Connect, they have a kind of an event where their whole point is let's build something, let's make something better, let's improve something, let's all put our heads together. And that's a
Yeah.
different aspect because it's
Actually,
developers
yeah.
all getting there.
Yeah, they give you post-its and they put on the board like 4 or 5 different categories related to DNN, and you have a couple of minutes to think about your ideas or where you think it should be better or change or new, and you can just make a note and put it on the category that you think it belongs to, and then they give you little post-its, but they're like circle ones, and then you can vote for the one that you like the most, and then they put a couple of articles, a couple of threads on the forums so that they can follow up and along the
Do
year
those
and
things.
see,
Yeah.
and see what ended up happening with those ideas.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a really cool event.
It's a really, really cool part of the DNN Connect event. Well, if you are interested in that kind of European travel and you want to head out for that, I encourage you to try it. Try it more than once, but at least try it once. Myself, I've not gotten out there yet. I look forward to doing that in the future. DNN Connect is coming up May the 26th. Even though the website has not been updated, the DNN Summit is moving forward. I mentioned in the last meeting that October the 13th and 14th is the date for the virtual event. So DNN Summit 2026 is going to be an online event inside of the Hop-In app that their virtual events have been in the past. So all sessions are recorded, all sessions are present along with the other community related things that you can do with each other online together. Talking with Mitch and some of the people on the DNN association board, they've been changing up some things with members changing out. So they're just, a little bit behind the 8 ball and getting organized to present these things, especially with updating the website. But my understanding is it's going on now. The dates are October the 13th and 14th for the online conference for the community conference, and they are opening call for speakers here in the next few days. It's being set up again inside of the sessionized system, and talking with Mitch Sellers, he was working towards that here now this week and this weekend. So keep an eye out for the call for speakers and updates to happen on the DNNSummit.org site. There's been some discussion about it in the Discord server, and so I'll try my best to help post to people when there are updates, and if I can have a hand in making any updates in the website, I'll also be trying to help push that along too. So those are our community conferences and events. We've had an active month. It's been a full month since our last meeting, and there have been a long string of new blogs and articles posted on the DNN community website. I don't want to skip any of them. I just am not technically qualified to dive into all of them and understand them or present them to you well. But I don't want you to miss them. So I'm kind of scrolling through a few here. Mentioned that Sasha, for instance, has put out an article on web forms versus MVC5 and .NET Framework, and kind of some positioning, understanding of pros and cons of the way things are treated or handled. So there are differences explained. These are the kinds of things you get on the DNN community website, especially in the blogs section. So check it out once a week, check it out once a month. You're going to catch, many new articles. I'm going to come back to talk about several of these in a few minutes, but really we need to spend some time talking about the new DNN releases for DNN 10 at level 10.2.4 and a concurrent release of 10.3.1. And I like the description here. For the first time in recent history, we have 2 concurrent release candidates. And I was about to object and say, whoa, no, that's happened before. And then I reread and it said in recent history, which is completely correct. So this is the first time in a long while that we've had 2 concurrent release candidates, and there's some reason or some purpose behind it. So one of the things that is mentioned is that here in 10.2.4, there is a new DNN upgrade process that is a big part of what's happening here, and that this is a different method than we've all been used to. Depending on how long you've been working in DNN, you can be, I started with DNN, for most work, it was DNN 3. I started just before DNN 3, but my first releases for clients where I was doing things was DNN 3. And I remember the upgrade process and the things that we had to do in early DNN 3 and 4. And as those things stabilized and we got down to a very common repeatable pattern, we've had the same upgrade process since appreciably at least DNN 4 all the way up to now with DNN 9 and DNN 10, but we have a new method here, and there's some good things to talk about for this. So I will point out again that we've got a release candidate for 10.2.4 and for 10.3.1. And
Hey, Ryan, if I could add on to the
oh yeah,
10.2.4 real quick. It's a specific release for people still who are still prior to 10.2.0. Anyone before that version, they should upgrade with the old method, especially if you've gotten to 9.13.9 or 9.13.10. And yeah, it's kind of explained to what you got in front of me. So
yeah,
use the old process, Jeremy and this gets you up to 10.2.4 so that you can use the new process. And what's happening here is this specific release is 10.2.3 plus only upgrades that help people with the upgrade process, things that people have run into that have broken easily. As they've discovered stuff, each next release gets the fixes. This one's diverging so that we can make it easier for people to get from 9 to 10.
Yeah, so that they didn't have to stop off on several different minor updates.
Well, there was actually, I proved there was a couple of cases where you were dead in the water. You weren't going to get there without some pretty heavy duty knowledge. So this one in particular is really going to get the people from version 9 to version 10. And if it's not perfect, they'll probably be at 10.2.5. I shouldn't say probably, but I hope there will be if new things are discovered and we can make it better.
We've got a couple of different articles here for this. I wanted to mention that earlier, last week or so, Mitch Sellers put out an article where he was talking about this, about the fact that we're going to have these 2 release candidates, and it is the discussion point about why, put out 2 different ones and why go this direction. And in a very short summation, it's, about what do you do? Do you have people skip over certain releases? Do you tell them to avoid it? If people aren't aware, what are they going to be doing? He goes through that, but Jeremy's article here, he put out one about the same time period talking about the new upgrade process. So Jeremy, you were just describing the point of why we have these different versions and which one to use in your different scenarios. We kind of covered that. Can you kind of walk through for us, though? I'm gonna bring you down to your visuals from your article. Can you walk through for us and just describe what does the new upgrade process look like? Not worrying about moving up from 9 to higher 10 if you've already gotten up to 9, 912 and 913, 9. But let's say you're already on 10 and you're starting the new process, and we're thinking about the process that it's going to be, later in the year just for all upgrades. Used to be, you describe it beautifully. Used to be, we'd get the upgrade zip package, we'd unzip it, we'd copy and do an overwrite on top of all of our folders and files. We would then run our favorite version of how we were doing the upgrade, whether we were using the install file or the upgrade wizard, and then we would step through any problems as we encountered them, any JSONsoft kind of things that we are having problems with, or JSONsoft, Newtonsoft. So you'd go through all of the problems and you'd get it done, but there's a new process that is in place now. Why don't you walk us through it for a second?
Sure. As long as you're on 10.2.0 or higher, you'll use the new process. And it's in site settings or server settings. And under system info, there's a new tab to the right there called upgrades. The process is not automatic. Notice it says available upgrades. It may get renamed. It should say uploaded upgrades available or something. When you first get to this screen, there won't be anything there. You have to go get the upgrade you want to do, bring it to your machine, click upload, drag and drop it in, and put it up there. I'll also mention that there was some confusion at first, even by me, that you no longer need the upgrade package from the releases page. You should be getting the install package from now on.
So I'll jump down to that for a second. You mentioned that with a screenshot and kind of a note here. So we won't be using the upgrade package when we're going to fetch files to use in this new process. It's always using the install package.
Yeah, and it's because they've all noticed the size. They've always been extremely similar. There's only a few files different. And because we now have the zip being uploaded and code running to unzip into a temp folder, now there's a process that can go move over just the files at once, so it leaves the others behind. So there's no reason to have 2 of them anymore.
Interesting. Your projection here is that you think towards the end of the year, there won't be an upgrade package anymore. They'll just be the install package.
Yeah, it won't make any sense. As a matter of fact, I think anything below 10.3, there'll be no use for the upgrade package again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then after you do the upload, you then get to see the list like you have there. In this case, I was going to 10.2.3 from 10.2.1. Then there's, if you highlight it there, it's hard to see, but the little footprints.
Yeah.
under actions, that's the apply or next or start the process button. And I point that out because I actually had a client and an employee who was afraid to click it. They didn't know what it did.
I'm right with him.
Yeah.
Iconographically, that doesn't mean very much. Walk
Yep.
out, dancing, shoe steps. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your
And
shoe
unfortunately
size?
for me, the thing I didn't realize was whoever picked it was thinking steps, next step. And after that, it made
Steps.
sense. But my first thought was footprints. And I'm like, what are they? What's going on?
Those
What
footprints.
would that?
Yes.
And there
I'm
was no
sure
tooltip or
we
anything.
can
So,
make some recommendations for a better icon. We'll all think of it.
yeah. So anyhow, then you start the process. If you scroll down a little bit, if as soon as you click that button, you'll see upgrading. Please wait. It's going to take 2 seconds or 30 seconds. I've had it take very different amounts of time, but that's the process that's making the temp folder, unzipping all the files. And then when you get to the next screen, I'm sorry, the one that was up there, the blue button.
Gotcha.
Now, when you click that button, now you're starting the old process that we're used to. So now if you scroll down, you'll see the familiar, the version you were at, what you're upgrading to. But in between those two, it's done the unzip, the compare, and if there are, for example, some binary redirect DLL mismatch issues,
Yeah.
there's at least a good chance that if we know about them already, the code is going to handle them for you. So
It'd be
anyhow,
good if it
sidestepping
did.
errors.
Yeah.
It definitely does because yeah, I've had really good luck with the 10.2.4. Done a whole bunch with it just in the last couple of days since it came out.
Nice. So this process goes through what's on screen with what would have been the upgrade wizard. One of the other methods for doing an upgrade is with the install file in upgrade mode. That way it's one screen and it's a list of all the actions that are in place. I've had situations where that runs smoother and faster than being on the upgrade wizard screen. Do you know if that other process is going away?
I really don't. I don't know how to initiate it from here. Once you click that blue button,
Yeah,
you're committed moving forward to
right.
this version of the process going through the screens.
We'll ask Daniel and Mitchell to weigh in on that
Yeah.
after the fact. Okay, so that's an excellent walkthrough, Jeremy, that you did in the community blogs. And that was here just recently to kind of go through what we got here in these. But you've been posting a lot of blog posts recently, and one of the fun, exciting ones is a new DNN community event that is here and available for people to get their fix on what's going on in DNN, what are people doing with DNN, a little bit of show and tell in your new DNN Show and Tell meetup. Why don't we give a good solid plug for that here right now? Tell us about it.
Well, luckily we have with us Steve and Marco, my two
Yep.
co-hosts for this. We met on and off for the last, I don't know, 6-8 weeks and dreamt up this thing and talked through how we were going to do it. And then we did it and it worked out really well. Marco did a lot of the video editing stuff. I haven't been able to touch that yet. I've been the one playing with the AI things to make all these nice looking panels because, everybody loves to type 2 sentences and get a nice looking graphic. And other than that, it's just been fun. We had a good time. I had a really good time. I think Marco and did you guys have a good time, Steve, Marco?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was a good one.
Fantastic. Well,
We had no expectations as far as views, but there's been quite a few views, and we did something different. Instead of just posting a big 1.5 hour long video, we posted the full session and then we cut up into individual pieces. This is what Marco did.
Yep.
So that we now have shorter things to go watch. So if you're only interested in SEO, you can watch Marco's first steps in SEO and go through that stuff. And he's going to continue that series. And I think what I enjoyed most was when the AI came up with the little photo for Aaron with the long hair. That was my favorite thing. That has made me giggle a few times. So.
Nice. Yeah. And short form video is going to get shared and seen more often and honed in on those specific topics. So there's a lot of good benefit to that. Well, we will keep doing several things in SoFri, both keeping all three of you here and online with us frequently and regularly, but we'll keep posting this just like we do with everything else with DNN Dave and the items that he is posting with the things that are happening in discussions in the Discord server. So we've got a lot of community places where people are talking about DNN and the things that they're doing. Southern Fried is one of them, and we're glad to promote and help make sure you get to see all of these from everybody. I think personally that putting together content like this means that by technical experience, you absolutely must be presenters at DNN Summit and at DNN Connect, and you have your sessions all prepared right there.
And here I go muting myself.
All right. Well, next month, in next month's Southern Fried DNN, we have things for the rest of the year. Would love to have some speakers come on and present and talk about the things that they've developed. I am connecting with people to try and get them on. And for next month, if we can work out the timing on it, we may be talking about the DNN Defender, which is a new module that's been put out recently that is security focused and about installing into a DNN instance and performing, having some tools that can perform some types of protection and auditing. There's also some web application firewall elements to it. I really need to learn more, and reaching out to the developer and learning more about it is part of my motivation for it. So if I can work that out, we'll have them on next month. And I was mentioning that this is from the same person who back in the day, back in older DNN, 8 and below, was responsible for the CISS side menu, which for me was a great tool that we used for quite a long time. So I look forward to seeing if we can have that presentation next month. But like we just did there, last month I mentioned that I'd seen something new posting that I hadn't had a chance to look at yet. And it was some Discord posts and then a DNN community blog post from Sasha about a new AI chat agent. And I wanted to see if I could have someone come on from this, from this group. There have been a few different people who've been working on it. And I wanted to see if I could have someone, kind of as I described earlier, someone more knowledgeable than me come in and talk about it and help present. And I still look forward to that. Well, I did hear back from Sasha, and he said he'd love to come on and do a little demonstration and a presentation. But here at 6:30 p.m., it's the middle of the night in Europe. So he said if maybe in the future, if we have a different time, he can come and join us. Otherwise, he'll tag on and maybe add some comments after we're done here. But I did then spend some time installing this and setting it up in a demo DNN instance. So that's what we're going to do now for the rest of our session here is we're going to kick the tires. I'm going to show you what I've done with this, how I set it up and what was involved in it. And then I would love some input from the peanut gallery on what do we want to test out? What do we want to make this thing do? What test queries do we want to try and put to this chat agent in DNN to see what it's aware of and what it can do. So let me back up and give a little bit more of an intro, and then I'll tell you a little bit about setup and the things that I did. So to begin with, the description is this is out in GitHub. This is open source, and it's available if you're inclined to get involved and either make some new elements for it or some new skills for it or do some tutorials about things that you did with it I know that that would all be welcomed. But this is in GitHub. This is the AI chat. And with it, there are 3 downloads currently available for it. There is the primary one, which is the AI chat agent and the module that gets installed for that. There is an SEO agent that is, another module install, an item to it. I was able to install both of these in a vanilla, clean DNN 10 2 instance. There's also an additional item here for open content. If you're familiar with or have used the structured content module for DNN, it's called open content. This is an AI, these are tools that allow what you're doing with the AI chat to be able to give commands and understandings to open content. I am, particularly interested in this, and if I'm continuing to toy with it and work with it, I would be looking at taking that open content AI module and going through the source and making my own version for the modules that I use most every day. I could imagine building one for Xmod Pro. I could imagine building one for my favorite blog or article module. So I've already got a few ideas of things that might be useful to do in the future. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the AI chat module and components because I didn't have any of the other items either installed or ready to play with. But in this wonderful graphic here, there's a description of the types of things that you'll be able to do and you'll be able to work within. And I will honestly say that this is kind of mental overload for me. I get into this and I realize that one of the things that I could be doing with an assistant AI chat agent in DNN is giving commands in a language-based format to have it do and perform actions for me. In that situation, it's kind of like prompt. It's kind of like having an assistant do some things with me that I spin up to take actions while I'm doing other things, or I'm also doing some of those same actions. So I can imagine using this assistant to create pages, to install modules on pages, to upload files or download files or do something with images and things that have been uploaded to the system. It can also do some things where it uses DNN and the mail handler in DNN to send out information and send out emails. So there's some different things that is very interesting, that come just kind of out of the box of core DNN things that it can do. Now, as far as what you can work within, one of my concerns was that I was going to have to work in Claude or Claude Code or one of the other items that I'm not spending much time in. I'm mostly in ChatGPT. I know there are plenty of other things that are out there and there are more advanced things, but for what I've gotten into the most, I'm happily using ChatGPT for the things that I'm doing. So I did see that OpenAI was one of the options available. There were some mentions that you could work with LLM Tornado to do a mixture of things between multiple accounts. That's something that I'm not fully versed in or aware of, but my rough understanding would be that then if you're connecting with LLM Tornado, then perhaps you're able to make commands to multiple different types of AI agents and have them do what they do best and maybe mix things together. So it does mention that it currently supports Claude from Anthropic. It has Google Gemini, and then it has ChatGPT. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. There's a whole other side of things that I haven't touched playing around with this, with the model context protocol and taking and working on these, working on the content and working on the tools and things. Literally anything I've done has been on this side. We may come back and do another session where we dig in even deeper with stuff that we can make this do. But I think I have a pretty good introduction here in just a moment. So again, some of the things that it describes that you can do are, things that are portal related. Getting data from DNN, putting data in, having it do activities for you, such as creating pages, creating modules on pages, working on the meta titles and descriptions and SEO related content. And again, I'll kind of demo here in just a second, but let's talk about setup. So to begin with, one of the things I was a little concerned about was how quickly could I go from installing this to testing it out. I'm not saying that I have a low threshold of interest, but what I do have a low threshold of is available time. If this was going to be something that took me 5 hours to get set up and running, there was probably a good chance I wasn't going to be able to demonstrate it here for Southern Fried. But this is something that went fairly quickly and fairly easily. Let's see if I've timed out of my instance, and we'll take a look at the settings screen. Okay, so this is installed just like a standard module. So you're going to find that the module gets installed here just like normal modules do. But then it is a PersonaBar item. So once it gets installed, you're going to find it underneath the PersonaBar section as AI chat. So this is the module once it's gotten installed. And just a second ago, you could see it on the screen. What it does is it gives you another element in the Manage section for AI Assistant. And any settings that you need to do when you're getting started, you do in this particular screen. There is a settings button, which brings you to your initial options and choices. To begin with, there's a long list here of possible AI agents that you can work with. Anything that you select is going to have its specific set of AI keys or secrets or what have you that you need to put in place. I mentioned that I went with working with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, and the 3 that it shows here inside the system is options for the newer ChatGPT 5.2, 5.2 Pro, or one that was listed as 5 Mini. Honestly, I didn't know the difference between these. I didn't understand what would be there or possible. So as anyone would when they're trying to look up something that they don't know enough about yet and they want to learn, I didn't Google it. I ChatGPT'd it. So I put in and said, hey, I'm using this new tool for DNN that's going to let me have an AI agent inside of DNN, and it gives me the options of ChatGPT 5 and 5 Mini. What are the differences? So I understand that the Mini is one that uses fewer credits, fetches a smaller amount of content and brings back a tighter, smaller amount of content, and is less full-featured than the 5.2 and the 5 Pro, but it's also faster and is probably the one that was going to be most successful. So I thought, okay, with that as a suggestion from ChatGPT itself, I did the opposite, and I started working with ChatGPT 5.2 or 5.2 Pro. And I will admit that I ran into some limitations or some errors and issues with it giving me back too much content. And this tool, in an error code or a message that I'll bring on screen, essentially telling me it had maxed out on the returned content back from the ChatGPT actions I was doing. And conversely, when I switched to the 5 Mini, I didn't have that problem. It was more efficient in what it was getting, and it was not maxing out the system. So for the rest of the presentation here, we're going to be looking at ChatGPT 5 Mini. Putting in a key. They describe where to get the key for Claude and Anthropic, but I, again, used ChatGPT to say, okay, tell me where to go get that key. At which point it gave me the link directly to the developer platform for OpenAI. So a clarification here is what you're plugging in is not your own personal ChatGPT agent or your own personal ChatGPT account. What you're working in here is the developer platform, and you are getting a key for the developer platform, and you have to set up, just like you would with any other service, your payment methods, and you have to either put in some starter funds or set it up to a payment connection so that it can continue making requests for additional credits. At the beginning of this, I basically put in $15 as my starter. Just to see. I didn't know how many tokens were going to be used and how those tokens converted into credits. But so far, I have spent a whopping 16 cents in tests and work inside it. Now, admittedly, I spent a few hours playing around with it. I didn't do a lot. But any concerns I had with the spend for an account to start off with, $5 or $10 would get you plenty of credits to be able to test this out and play with it. I did do a couple of other things just to make sure this didn't go nuts, like giving it some monthly restrictions and making it so that it wouldn't keep doing auto billing, which is what it tends to do. But so far I've used 300,000 tokens. Okay. That's bits of data that are going either in requests or coming back. And at the end of the day, 16 cents spent for a demonstration in today. It'll be fun when we're playing around with it here tonight. We can see the difference after we're done with a few things. So a couple of other settings and things about this in the setup is once you have it connected, you can tell DNN and this AI agent, what do you want it to do? So it's not going to be fully featured in doing everything under the sun unless you tell it to. It is built, it seems, with some good intent that you only want to give it the things you really want to do. You don't want it to do everything. I don't want it to be able to create portals or delete portals, so maybe I don't turn that on. So there are sections, communication. I didn't particularly want this demo to be able to send out email, so I didn't turn on the connection to using DNN to send out email. I did want it to be able to work with the file manager and be able to get a list of the files that are there, get a list of the folders, and be able to read the files from a specific path. I forgot that I didn't turn on writing. That would be why it couldn't upload some files, but I will check that now. You can control files, you control modules. Do you want it to be able to add to a page, get the content out of an HTML module, be able to get a list of the modules on a page and be able to edit and make updates to HTML modules. Same matching things for pages. Adding pages, getting the details out of a page, get a list of the pages, and then being able to make updates. I didn't turn on or play with any of the system tools to be able to get system level files. I assume that's things out of the portal folder. But I did want it to be able to do external things. I wanted it to be able to get the HTML out of any external URL that I provide it. Because some of the demos I wanted to do were about going and fetching content and coming back and doing something with it. So I did turn on the HTML URL controls and some of the SEO controls so that it could also begin working with those types of things as well. You can then make sure the thing's read-only, or if it has right allowances. There's a whole section here at the bottom for skills, and I did not get into working with skills, and I was curious whether skills were restricted to Claude only, or if I could build skills and have them as tools or actions that then I can have ChatGPT do, because it does seem to be that that there's some global rules that I can establish for instructions overall, but that I could create a new skill or a new tool that I wanted to be able to do, and I can give some instructions to be able to repeat and reuse those items. That's definitely something in a deep dive that I would be looking into getting into next to play around with. Okay, so those are the settings for getting started with this. Probably the thing that took me the longest was getting the developer account set up and getting that key, and that took 10 minutes. So within 10 to 15, 20 minutes, I was running and starting to play with some AI requests to my DNN instance. Let's take a look at those. So on the right-hand side, you've got your friendly prompt. How can I help you today? And some suggestions of the types of things that you can do. You've got your prompt area, and then you've got your mode, so that you can decide what type of action you want to have it doing. I almost imagine it's like a safety, so that you can go in and out of modes in which you say, okay, I just want to talk about these things and I want to ask questions. I don't want it to do anything yet. Perhaps you're going to do that in chat mode versus read-only mode, where you're going to go get and read data and content, or are you in a fully, this thing is allowed to add and edit and delete and work on all the content. So I did play around with those, and here we can see the most recent chat that I had, and let's kind of look at that. I'm going to walk through these and show you what it did, and then by the time I get to the bottom of the screen, I'm going to look for suggestions on what do we want to try and have it do next. So let's take a look at this. So, simple request. Can you get a list of all the pages in this website? Okay. I'm not sure I can imagine the utility of that. What's the purpose or benefit to me of that? Until I started thinking about how, if I go down this road and I start using something like this, I might have the chat agent building for me whole navigation structures of pages and subpages, and I don't know what they are. Or I know what they were when I got started, but I don't know what they are in the end after it's built 40 new pages for me and tucked them away into different menu structures. So I start to thinking about, how this is a good query to get started with. So it returns back to me similar as if I was doing a query in the SQL window. I've got my tab IDs and my list of items, and I've got links so I can go to them. Okay, that's nice. And we can see that what it did was run its internal tool for get pages. That was the skill or the item that it ran and did, and we didn't have any parameters for it, and we can see the results that it gave back in JSON format of all of the data coming out of the database for the tabs. So then I said, okay, let me try something big, and I gave it a large amount of content. It didn't do so well with this. I had to break it down into pieces, but it was a lot of fun to learn about it. So I said, okay, can you fetch content from the Southern Fried website and create 4 new pages with content that you pull from the website? Make a parent page, make 3 child pages underneath, one for meetings, videos, and blog, where you post an overview of the content from those sections of the website. So that was my goal here in this demo, is have this chat agent go to an external website, review that website, bring me back content that it evaluates and generates new overview content and puts it onto some new pages that it creates for me. That's our test here. So first thing it does is, okay, I'm going to go to the Southern Fried website and go get connected. It refused this action. Oh, part of that was because I was in the chat mode and I hadn't gone yet into the full mode so that it could do anything with what I was, telling it to do. So I switched modes and I said, okay, let me break this apart into some pieces. And I started trying to do these queries, but I will mention, let me find it, that I did have a few errors. First off, that I should mention. Oh, I closed it. All right. Okay, so I did have a few errors as I was going through things, and I want to point those out. Some of them were responses that were giving me messages saying that the quota had been used. Clearly, the quota had not been used. I'd only spent four credits, 4 cents worth of credits. I hadn't done very much, and it was giving me response messages that I was exceeding my quota and that my billing details didn't have quite enough room to perform an action. I also received one that was I did have to configure payment. So I kind of started with that, but yeah, I had to figure that out as I was going through that. In the beginning, I didn't have any funds, so I had to put in some funds so that I had the credits inside of ChatGPT. But I did also have some responses where it was telling me that the values of what it was returning were too much content more than what it could parse inside of my limitations that I had set both in the ChatGPT side for the, I guess, the number of tokens that are being used in one request, and in the DNN AI agent side for what it was receiving in one request. And at that point was when I switched from the main ChatGPT 5.2 or the 5.2 Pro, and I switched to Mini. And once I switched to Mini, I didn't see any difference in the responses that I was getting, except that they didn't fail. I didn't run out of using too many tokens in a request based on what the limits were that I had kind of created. I'm sure I can fix those things, but to begin with, I just wanted to keep moving with some tests. So I said, let's do something small. Let's create 4 new pages. Let's make one parent page named SouthernFriedDNN, and let's put 3 child pages under it for content related to meetings, video, and blog post. I didn't tell it to do anything with content. I just said, make me some pages. So you can see here the responses that it gave one at a time of building me these pages. It went ahead and put a description onto these, and I liked that. Overview of SouthernFriedDNN content. Overview of meeting and events, overview of videos and recordings, overview of blog posts and announcements. Okay, that's kind of what I would expect of an AI ChatGPT agent, to invent some things and be verbose about it. Okay, I'm interested in that. So then it gave me a recap. It created 4 pages, the parent page, it made the child pages, it went ahead and told me what the tab IDs were for those. I like that. And then it gave me suggestions, just like I would expect out of, a ChatGPT response. If you want, I can now pull content from the Southern Fried website and generate a short overview. Okay, yeah, that's what we were talking about a minute ago. Yes, please. Generate a short overview from each section and pull from SouthernFriedDNN. Took me a couple of rounds of playing with that to get it right, and I believe that's more when I was encountering those issues and was trying to get it down to a smaller size. So that may be where I changed the mini settings. But once it was successful, it ran through and did all of these in one shot. Get SEO content, get HTML content, add modules onto pages, and put content into those. And the recap comes back. Pretty big, long, detailed recap of what it did, showing me the same content that it put into the modules. So it says, I pulled content from this page. I made these 3 pages, and so I attempted to add this content in. Here's the overview of one. Here's the snippet of HTML content. Here's the sections for meetings and for video library, and it's echoing back to me all the things it's putting in place. I did have a little bit of going back and forth to make sure I had the correct permissions, then I was in the right mode. I asked it to do kind of a hello world test as well. But at the end, I gave the simple request. Please add the content you generated into the modules on those pages, and it went ahead and knocked all of those out. So let's kind of pause here and let's take a look. What did it build? This is a vanilla, brand new DNN 10 install. Nothing changed out of it. But we now have a section for SouthernFriedDNN and meetings and video and blog posts. And if we take a look at the parent, it has on it paragraph content, and then it has sets of links to things that it found important about the Southern Fried site overall. Here's the visit Southern Fried link, join on Meetup, and Southern Fried YouTube. Okay, that's pretty good. It had a general overview with important points about meetings the 3rd Thursdays, usually live streamed, archived Meetup group. It has a valid overview based on the content found on the homepage. I'm pretty happy about that. If I go into meetings, it has a short description of meetings. Video, it has just a couple of links to things from the video page. And in the blog post, it has the latest 4 or 5 live blog articles and kind of gives an overview for those. This isn't anything client usable yet. This isn't anything groundbreaking, but I had a lot of interest and a lot of fun in playing around with this and thinking, okay, if I start thinking about this as a tool that I can use, how can I start using it more as a procedural item or as a tool that I can use long term to build sections of content? To me, I don't use a tremendous amount of the HTML module. A lot of the work that I do is structured content. We build modules and groups of tools with structured content so that then we can add them to pages and then use those buttons and configurations we've made to make new articles and make new posts and make new testimonials and things like that. And that's what I saw present in the OpenAI extension or add-on to this, so that it could tell OpenAI, add an OpenAI module on a page, now do this configuration, now add this template, now do these things. So I'm already thinking about and looking forward to doing the same thing with my tool of preference, Xmod Pro. But let's kind of come back to this and talk about some of these things.
Hey, Ryan.
Later, I ended up saying, "Hey, let me put some pictures in here. Can you go get some pictures?" And I didn't realize that the file manager wasn't allowing for file uploads. That's why it couldn't upload them. It didn't know that its own settings were turned off, but I turned those on. Maybe it'll do it for me now. But I said, "Okay, just put me some pictures there." And it offered and said, "Would you like for me to make SVG vector artwork?" Sure, yes. Let's make some vector artwork. Why not? So it built some vector artwork that it just included. It put them into the pages and had them float left, and added these graphics that we're looking at on these pages. There's not anything again client ready or groundbreaking about them, except I didn't lift a finger to do them, and I'm fairly pleased about that. I could have just as easily told it to generate something from my DNN Show and Tell and given it a prompt and told it to make an image, upload it to the file manager, and now link it as a standard image. That could be the process we can get to. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second, take a breath, and kind of show that I finished out these tests that I did to have it build some pages and put some content on pages and read some things from an external website. What do we think so far with the group? What's a good test that you'd like to see it do here live while we're tinkering with it?
I'm curious, did it also set the meta description and keywords?
It did. It actually asked for that as a second step. Let's see where that was. Because it basically said, would you like for me to now go in and put in meta descriptions and meta information for it? And I
Did you go look at the settings and see if it's there?
Yeah, we're going to go take a look.
I'm
so
curious.
Underneath the SouthernFriedDNN, it put in
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
it put in a description for it. I didn't tell it to do keywords, but I could have. But I told it to do a title and a description for meetings, for video, and for blog posts. It did something. I'll tell you what. Let's tell it to do that change. Wrong. That's kind of a circular request that I made, but let's see what it says. It's getting more SEO content from, this is a good point. When it asks to run these tools, it prompts you. It doesn't do them on its own. And I'm interested to find out if that's something that can be changed, if it's a good idea to have it as a safeguard, to not let it go and do 19 things without asking you. But every time it asks for a tool, it does ask you permission, and you click a button to have it run. I do like the little DNN here because it's not exactly ChatGPT thinking, it's DNN thinking with ChatGPT as the brains. So it says, let's see, I've reviewed some content, I've got some notes, blah, 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 blah. It said, what did it say at the top? Next steps, tell me what you want to do. I'll provide exact steps to set these pages DNN page settings manually or I can insert the meta tags into each module and do it now. What was its complaint? It doesn't think that it can update the meta keywords. It can only edit the title and the description. See, some of what I was interested in to learn is what does it know about itself? What can it answer? Because behind it, the brains here and the conversation is ChatGPT, but I'm curious what ChatGPT knows about its own abilities here inside the answer, inside of the system. So it says, I can work in the name and the title and the description, but I cannot set the page meta keywords through the page update API. Okay. Then as an open source project, that would be the next thing to tinker with and help add into the system is make it be able to do that. Okay. Make a copy. So it says what it can do for you is make a copy and paste ready string of keywords. That's good to know. Let's try something else. What else would we like to do, either with these pages or some other new pages? What's a good test of something for us to give a shot at? Jeremy, you got anything? Steve, Billy, Marco, you have any suggestions of things you want to try and see this do, or any questions we want to ask it?
It's very intriguing.
It's interesting.
Definitely gonna have to set it up and play with it. I actually am very curious to see it use the open content module because we use that, and I like the open content module.
Yeah.
But you don't have that installed on here yet.
No.
Yeah, I would really. My first instinct is to go play with this and see if I can get it to engage with our structured content built around the open content module.
That's
That would be
my whole point. Yep.
really cool if my users could go, hey, I want to put this content, and it would go, oh, I think this would be best in cards. Here's the card template. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Here's a bunch of content. Set up a new module on that page with cards and put it all in place. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I already have a card template for open content, right? So use the open content card template, set it up. That would be really neat.
Well, I tell you, I asked it the question, can you write out a list of the page-related tasks you can do? And it didn't have a shortage of things it thought it could do. There's a lot. There's a lot in here.
The other thing that's coming to mind is how much of the content can it do? You know, one of the things we struggle with is content organization. It would be interesting, you know, I thought of it when you were listing the pages, if it could summarize the content on that page as it listed them. I don't know if it has that ability or not.
It does seem to do summarization. One of the tests I wanted to do next was have me give it a block of content and tell it, I don't want you to put it all into one module. I would like for you to take a look at this other page as an example and set one up in the same way. I want the title and the lead paragraph in one module in this pane. I want details in a different pane, and I want a different container and a different module and the footer with bullet points. You know,
so give it a website page that has that stuff on it, and say, hey, lay this out in DNN for me. Replicate this page in DNN using modules for me, or something like that.
Or just tell it to organize it better. That's another thing. I mean, the way we think and write isn't always organized.
That's an understatement.
Thank you. It really is.
You
should see how much vomit I can put on a page. I can also see that the people that wrote this are going to need to expand its capabilities. I mean, you can't do everything in the HTML module, and you got to open it up to other stuff. Maybe
And
the
it
people
seems
at
like they have a
EasyDN,
model for that.
yeah,
They
maybe
have
the
a
people
model
at
for you to follow.
maybe the people at EasyDNN will come up with a way to make their stuff a skill or a tool that it can use.
Mhm.
Well, it's got, yeah, it's using the MCP model. I don't know.
Some interesting things about it. It did seem to have some knowledge of different HTML modules, and it asked if I was using HTML module, HTML Pro module. So it had some understanding of differences, and I had to give it a couple of notes when I first got started.
I might have to get Claude Code and download the Git repo and understand how this works.
It does look like fun. I'm getting very interested.
All right, so it says it has pulled the homepage content from Southern Fried and it's updated my page, tab ID 37. Here's what I did. I added a new module. I added 3 new modules. I put content into these. Next, I copied visible content and links. Now, if you'd like, I can also do these blah, 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 blah. Let's see what it is first before we, go see about having some changes made. Okay. We had a roughly blank page to begin with, and this is what we have now. This module was here before. It added a module above it, below. Seems like it's all in one pane still.
Did it add a footer?
No, sorry, I'm having to move the controls for, here we go. The zoom controls. I couldn't go into edit mode because there was something on top of it. Looks like it put them all into, the one pane. It didn't use the fluid pane or the banner pane. That's interesting. But it did what I asked in that it created recent posts, meetup logos. There's some Friday originally. I mean, it did not do what I asked it to. To start, about the user group, recent meetings. Let's see what we got. I guess this is about the user group. Southern Fried meets the third Thursday of every month to discuss. Well, technically, that was this.
Yeah, it didn't get very creative with layout or anything.
It didn't. And
Well, I don't think it has the ability to get creative with the layouts. I mean, think about it. It's stuck inside an HTML module, and I don't think it has a concept of panes, does it?
I don't know. Let's ask.
Interesting to find out.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if you told it to, okay, now here's the URL. Go look at the page you just created and let me know what improvements we could make. And then it comes back and tells you, well, you should be using WordPress because then I could, never mind. I didn't say that. You can edit this out, right?
You're killing us here. What you doing, man? Why would you do that? I think we pick up your card holding DNN presenter card.
I'm gonna be.
Take it away.
I've been banned.
And you have to buy everyone a beer. So you're thin ice there, man.
I've been banned.
Okay, so let's see. I would like to have one in the banner pane. Get modules. Okay, so it's got to figure out what modules are on that page. It knows what panes they're in, right pane, left pane, content pane. How can I move modules between panes in this environment? The available tools do not expose a move module. Yeah, it doesn't know how to move. It doesn't know how to use anything other than the content pane right now, is my guess. Before I proceed, which module do you want to move into the banner pane? I can move one or multiple. Okay, maybe not. Let's.
In a way, this is really cool.
To some extent, how different is it than prompt? I think about prompt being able to do command-based actions in DNN, And what we have here is different is an ability to go out, bring back, summarize, and generate content on top of prompt. That's not a put down. This is valuable and this is very interesting.
Yeah, this is a
Um,
fantastic start. I
but
had
this
no
is what
idea
I
this
what
could
I
do
think
this
about.
much.
How extensive is prompt? Can prompt do that, move modules into panes and all that?
Prompt can I don't know. Prompt can basically do anything that that's been exposed from the DNN APIs. So it's a command line based action for all of the APIs. Actually, I don't know about all. For the APIs that it's been exposed to. All right, so it says it's done and it thinks it moved something to the banner pane. So let's take a look. Why it certainly moved something. It moved the blank starter module, so it can be pane aware. Perhaps if I wrote better instructions or had a theme that had a bunch of different panes to it, I could get more creative with what I was doing with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Or what if you told it what its own, does it know what its own portal alias is? Can it look at the page? What if it could iterate, look at the page it created, and then
Yeah, I'm still
analyze it and make, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Can you improve this page? Review the page and improve it.
We are approaching the stage where it's called too many cooks.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
All right, and we're also approaching the time where we're going to wrap up here in just a second. So let's see it do this.
So we can all go play with it ourselves.
Well, and also,
let it go through from there.
I hope the guy who wrote this or the people that wrote this are watching it. And as we chat and talk about what could be, they are coming up with a list of features they're going to go add real quick.
I'll finish off by going back to the GitHub page in just a moment. And we'll kind of finish with that. Come on. It was taking a long time on that one.
I'm glad you didn't have them checked, but can you imagine when this thing can go like edit your web.config? So I can't tell if that's like genius or the worst possible thing it could do.
All right, so it says, I updated and gave it a stronger hero section. I improved the heading text and the call to action. I improved the content and headings here. I kept an image reference where appropriate. And then it says next steps I can do. Well, let's finish by seeing what it did. Okay.
Wow, that's an improvement.
Okay. It did something that it thought was useful, and it, understandably has limitations, but it did something and made it better organized.
Do you want to
Okay.
try an interesting one real quick?
Yeah.
Ask it to go to unsplash.com, find a relevant photo, and add it as the accent photo to one of the modules.
I'll mention that it tried to, and that was
Oh,
one of
really?
its first sections. And one
Did
of the
it go to
problems,
Unsplash, really?
it did. It said I can
Wow.
get placeholder images from Unsplash, and it also mentioned 2 or 3 other places, but the
Oh, I didn't
links
see
that it
that.
brought back didn't work. And I
Oh.
didn't dive in further to find out why they didn't work. But its understanding of what an Unsplash URL to use in in something that's externally and embedded into an image tag,
Yeah, that's cool.
it thinks it got it right. And I explained, hey, those don't work. They're broken links. And it's like, I don't know. Can you tell me what a correct one is? And I'm like, well, okay, I'll try something else instead. But it did try pulling generic images. I also tried having it pull images from the external website to install them on my site. And I had trouble with that as well, but I think that was a permissions thing. So tell you what, we've had a lot of fun. Let's bring it right back over to the GitHub. So within this, we can see that we've had a couple of releases, 3 or 4 releases with some work that's being done primarily by Sasha. Timo came in and did some typo edits. I reached out to Timo and asked him, if he wanted to come and do some presentations and talk about it. And he's like, "What? I'm not involved in this." Oh wait, I just did some typo corrections. So the GitHub is the main location where you can come to get involved in this. I'm watching it and I'm interested in learning more about it. If I get to a point where I have open available time, you would see me having some ideas of things I'd like to improve to it and put in place just to see what I can do with it in the future. Within GitHub, we all have the ability to support people and make donations to them. But I can imagine if you want to come alongside Sasha and help make suggestions and make improvements, do pull requests. I'm sure that he'd love to have somebody working on those ideas with him. And again, when I started all of this, it was because within the DNN community, there was a blog post that also kind of gave a description of this and how it worked, and that was back in January. Let me just find that real quick. There we go. Deep dive in DNN AI, and Tico did a review where he was showing how this worked, and he did his own version of what I just did today. He used Claude. And he had it do page setup and gave it some tests. So if you want to take a look at some other folks doing the same thing, take a look at it there and give it a try. We're here just a little bit over time, 7:40, and that's the wrap up for our April Southern Fried DNN user group meeting. Thanks for joining us. I had a lot of fun showing you these ideas, and as we do every Southern Fried, we look forward to showing some different things in the future, talking community, talking updates, giving a little bit of presentation. I need help from all of you, both here in person and online watching this. We need your suggestions. We need you to hit up the people you'd like to have come talk and present, because it's not going to be my talking head every time. We need more people to present and be here. And I do have some people that I'm reaching out to, but I'd love your suggestions. And if you have folks, like EasyDNN or Getting Man Deep out here, make me some suggestions and I will go chase some people and see if we can get them to show up. We have next month. Our meeting always is the third Thursday of every month, but next month that puts that on May the 21st. So we'll have an announcement in the Discord and a few other locations to promote and talk about what we are presenting, but I believe we're going to be talking about DNN security and kind of a collection of some new tools and some new ideas of things that are out there. Thanks, Jeremy, Steve, Billy, and Marco for joining us here in person. And with that, I'll say good night to everybody. We'll end the recording and we'll do a little bit of Hangouts because that's another fun part of finishing up SoFri when we're in person. Sometimes the best parts happen after we turn the mics off. All right. Thanks you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Did the recording stop?
I don't know.
Still flashing red on mine.
And scene.
Oh, wait.
It's
I can
still
do
recording.
it. I can do it. How do I do it? Oh, my. So much to learn.
Maybe I'm able to do it.
Whoever's host.
Ryan, remind me, I need to make you co-host, but
Yeah, I can see that it's recording and I can see that I'm sharing, but I can't stop the recording. I can stop and share.
all right. Well, you people looking at this part of the video, I'm struggling here
I'm
to
gonna cut this out.
find. There has to be a.
It looks like the little red recording button at the very
I
top.
found
should
it.
be
I
visible.
found it. Record.